Admiral Zumwalt became a father figure and a mentor to me. He inspired me to live life the way that he lived life, which was to treat everybody with respect, to make the most of the opportunities that you've been given, and to try to create a few opportunities for somebody else.
Still devoted himself to helping others. My older brother Elmo had 2 forms of cancer due to Agent Orange and needed a bone marrow transplant.
2 things for me that are most touching of the history of Admiral Zumwalt at a personal level. You know, one is that he lost a brother at a young age, and you know, I'd experienced a similar. I lost a brother when I was a young boy, and the other is the loss of his son Elmo. You know, the tragic consequences of his decisions as a commander of naval forces in Vietnam, and certainly inspired him to do much for veterans and those exposed to Agent Orange afterwards. So, I mean, I think all of that are touching memories and are exemplify his humanity, exemplify his caring for others.
When my brother Elmo passed away, my father had made it his lifelong responsibility of making sure that other veterans would be covered.
You know, rather than be paralyzed by the death of a child, they chose to take that energy and do something positive with it.
The research that Admiral Zumwalt did on Agent Orange, I believe, is one of the main reasons that we got the VA to recognize it in the first place. He fought for veterans' benefits from the Agent Orange.
His whole life was driven by a moral compass, and he followed it through his entire life.
My father received a phone call from the White House, and he was then told that he was going to be receiving from President Clinton the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian award given.
Well, yeah, we have a certificate of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, in fact, at the pre-com unit, that celebrates his service both as a sailor and then afterwards in his service to others, particularly for veterans, the bone marrow registration. Presidential Medal of Freedom is something that we certainly celebrate as part of his legacy.
When I asked my father about this medal, he had said to me something I thought was really insightful. He said that the 2 most meaningful medals that he has received would be the medal that he received for Eagle Scout, and then this one, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. When I think of my father and the things that he did in the Navy, it's my father and my mother together.
When Dad received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, one of the things that he had shared was that half of that medal belonged to his beloved Musa, because he could never have achieved what he achieved had he not had her in his life.
Both represent this. My father always would say to me, the only thing I take to my grave is my character. And that was true of my mother as well.
I don't think you can tell the story of my father without also telling the story of my mother, because they had a deep mutual respect for each other. They shared a common vision, and they were able to, you know, make a difference in the lives of many, but they did it together as a partnership.
I used to meet with him and his wife. They were kind enough to check on me to see how I was doing, to give me ideas about what to do with my life, you know, ways that I could use my talents and find fulfillment. Career counseling was something that Admiral Zumwalt did a lot for me, and I really appreciated it.
My father was known to be a visionary. He was also known to be a humanitarian, and I think those 2 characteristics enabled him to do some tremendous things for the Navy, both from the standpoint of weapons systems and weapons platforms, as well as the caliber of sailor that came into the Navy.
He treated the hotel worker with the same respect as the senator. My father was a master sergeant in the Air Force. He treated him with the same respect that I saw him give dignitaries. And that was just his way. That if a person had a heart and soul, they deserved the same respect.
When I think about this ship, it will be on the seas for 30 years. So there will be a turnover of not just as first crew, but there will be turnovers throughout the life of the ship.
You know, specifically, you know, when he talked about his service after World War II and how he thought about things, you know, he talked about 3 principles, and that was, you know, compassion for others, his service to country, and then peace through strength, or peace through power. Admiral Zumwalt's legacy, I think, is one that needs to continue to be reflected upon and highlighted, because it speaks about the better angels of our society and our Navy.
They would keep my father's sense of love of humanity paramount, which means respect for one another, and live up to the high standards of character that he had for everyone.